Hey guys, welcome to another talk. The title of this class, Bold Decisions. Bold decisions give the best promise of success. Yes. Okay. Bold decisions give the best promise of success. We're talking about the 10 perfections once again. And here, the second perfection is virtue or morality. Okay, let's start with the story. Cecil Red Brenton, red because of his red hair, Cecil Red Brenton was known to the people in Toronto as the Christian mechanic. Christian mechanic. In 1972, long ago, a reporter from the Toronto Star wanted to see the integrity, wanted to check the integrity of people working in garages. So he visited 13 garages with nothing other than a loose spark plug. His car was in perfect shape, just a loose spark plug. And out of those 13 mechanics in those garages, 12 of them saw an opportunity to make a fast buck. Yes. Sir, that'll be 10 bucks, 20 bucks, whatever. Yeah, he paid up happily. The 13th garage belonged to Brother Red, Cecil, who looked at the situation, fixed the loose wire, and charged nothing for it. When the reporter pressed him as to why he wouldn't take any payment for his services, all he said was, "I'm a Christian. It's not required. There's nothing wrong with the car. I'm a Christian," implying that he was anchored in solid moral principles. He was not willing to sell his soul to the devil. When the reporter got back to the office and ran an article about what happened, droves of people flocked to Cecil's garage because everybody wants to deal with someone they can trust. For a dozen years before he retired, his garage was filled with customers. Yeah, honesty pays. Then, 20 years after this spark plug incident, when Brother Cecil died from prostate cancer, the Toronto Star didn't just publish an obituary like they did with everybody else. No, they wrote an entire full-page article on Brother Red. Cecil Red Brenton, 89, Christian mechanic, known for his integrity. That was the title. Can you imagine being remembered for having lived well instead of being remembered by people we have scammed and hurt, not realizing that those bad vibes that people send towards us, as well as the good ones, they carry through rebirth after rebirth. And they either bless us or they create difficulties for us, even lifetimes away. The ripple effect carries through. But people don't understand karma and rebirth. They're living just for one life and the profit they can make. Ridiculous. There are very few people in this world who have the moral integrity to withstand the highest bidder. Yeah, that rectitude, moral rectitude to withstand the highest bidder. Most people lose their ethical compass, or actually just chuck it away because of fear, greed, hardships, whatever. Most people don't see the value of staying true to their conscience, which tells them this is the way you need to go, brothers and sisters, not this one. And yet they choose the detour that leads to disaster. Yeah, the highest bidder is not just the rubbish that the world keeps flooding us with, the temptations. Come on, do this, do that. Bogus promises of happiness. The highest bidder is also the delusions we are entrenched in, shackled to for lifetimes, that keep pointing us towards wrongdoing in its many forms and the attendant misery that arises from this. Yeah? Virtue or morality. Let's take a look what this means. A little more. The dominant values of our age, yeah, are being pushed upon us without any thought of what is actually required for these values to be of any values to us. Yeah. So these values appear to be highly commendable goals we need to pursue. Yeah, go for it. The dominant values of our age are imposed upon us without any consideration for what's actually required for these values to be of any value to us. Understand this. Okay, so we're asked, family, friends, everyone, media, we're asked to pursue these values or goals because then happiness will be ours for the asking. And yet, because these are simply partial truths, thoughtlessly delivered, that people who pursue these truths usually end up depressed, disillusioned, and in all kinds of difficulties. Yep. People around the world are oppressed, plagued by, oppressed by fear, confusion, and they're completely clueless as to their true purpose in being alive. Yeah, completely. Yeah, and yet these values are imposed upon us by everything around us, everyone around us. And unless we learn to think deeply, instead of the shallow forms of thinking we generally engage in, unless we learn to think deeply, these values propel us towards, yes, head-on collision with the disaster. What are these values? Let's just look at four. Yeah, four big ones. Freedom. We need freedom. Possibility. Possibility. Yes. Authenticity. Be authentic. And of course, autonomy. Let's look at each of these in turn and see the partial truths involved that lead to massive suffering. If we are not in the habit of thinking deeply, we are heading for suffering. 100%. Okay, freedom. Let's look at freedom. What does freedom mean to you? Why is it important? Oh, we have to have freedom, Master B. Yeah, why? Well, it leads to a wondrous life. We don't need anyone to tell us how to live. We have a brain, Master B. We shouldn't have anyone impose their ideas upon us. We need freedom. Really? Okay, that's good. Any flaw to this kind of thinking? Unbridled freedom, unrestrained freedom is of no value to us because what we are seeking, what most people are seeking, is direction, not freedom. Yes, we need freedom. Partial truth. What we really need is direction. We want to know, most people want to know what they can devote their lives to that will bring them the greatest joy, fulfillment, and prosperity. That's what people want to know, the direction, how to get there. So if we are not open to wise suggestions from those who see things a little better, who can direct us to where real joy, fulfillment, and prosperity are, we're going to go around in circles. Freedom. Yeah. Countries around the world that were colonized at one point and who have won their freedom from their oppressors, have they really governed themselves better than their oppressors did? Really? Check. Freedom. Look at the freedom that people in power have, governments have, big businesses have. Freedom. Undiluted, unrestrained freedom. Look at what they're doing to the planet and to the people and the creatures living in it. The devastation, freedom, deforestation, pollution, exploitation of resources, unrestrained freedom with no morality in sight. None. So, my dear friends, freedom is important. But we don't need freedom for the self. We need freedom from the self. Which self? The one that is highly deluded, cannot see the sacred nature of reality, cannot see the sacred nature of oneself. That's the self. We don't need freedom for the self. Look at the devastation, how people are destroying themselves and everything else around them. Look, unrestrained freedom without clarity, without love is dangerous. Are you understanding? We don't need freedom for the self. We need freedom from the self. The self that is deeply deluded and cannot see the sacred nature of reality. And that is why it lives a reckless and wasteful existence. That self, dangerous, very dangerous. Okay, so that's a partial truth, freedom. Without morality, without 10 perfections, danger, big danger. Okay, let's look at the other half truth. Or is it even less than half? Possibility. Okay, another sham suggestion. Possibility. Our future is unlimited. We can do and we can be whatever we want. Take risks. Be audacious. Dream big. Yeah, limitless possibilities. Anything wrong with this suggestion? Open eyes? Anything wrong with it? Big time wrong. It's like putting somebody in a canoe with some supplies, few bags of chips, of course. Mustn't forget the chips and the beer. Putting someone in a canoe on any coastline around the world and shoving them out into the ocean, the deep blue sea, with the cheery comment, hey, buddy, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Just get out there and go for it. The guy is clueless. He has no compass, no sextant to check his directions. Remember what I said? People are afraid, confused, clueless about their direction. And here you're setting them off into the deep blue. That person in this canoe knows for sure that the possibility awaiting him is the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. And he's not too thrilled about that possibility. Okay. Here's another example of how ridiculous this is. Suppose I give you a blank canvas, large canvas, painting, beautiful easel, put the canvas on top, paint brushes, everything you need to just create a magnificent masterpiece. Possibilities are endless. Go for it. There you are, the inversion hand, blank canvas. Where do you begin? So what's missing? Training and preparation. That's not talked about. Just possibilities are endless. Future is unlimited. Take risks. Really? Tell us the whole truth. That we need for us to tap into the limitless possibilities. We need apprenticeship. We need training. We need preparation. Yeah. To live wisely and well, you just don't shove people out into the world and say possibilities are endless. You need to tell them that they need the right training before anything of significance can be achieved by them. But that's not mentioned. It is not mentioned. So, what good is limitless possibility when we have no clear direction of how to make better life choices? If we're not open to guidance from somebody who can tell us, encourage us towards the possibilities we need to strive towards and those we need to stay wide away from, we're heading for trouble, big trouble. Because within this limitless possibilities, like with limitless freedom, discernment is of essence. Discernment. Yeah? Because without the discernment that comes from clarity, preparation and training, without that discernment, we will, by default, engage in wrongdoing and harm ourselves and the world around us immeasurably by default. Not to mention an early rebirth. Yeah. Think of the possibilities for gambling, for killing, for lying, for sexual misconduct, for substance abuse. Possibilities. They're right there. Endless. And people are going straight for that instead of towards integrity. Instead of living a life they can be proud of, they're living a reckless, wasteful life, precious human rebirth, flushed down the toilet. Endless possibilities. No 10 perfections, no clarity, no love. Dangerous stuff. Yeah? The possibilities are there, but we need to know where the landmines are. Avoid, don't go down that road. This is the road. Okay. Partial truths. Expounded. Self-help books, videos, movies. Wake up. Think deeply. So while people are floundering in an endless sea of perplexity as to what the world is, what they really are, perplexed, don't know what is true and false. While people are floundering in this endless sea of perplexity, the world shovels even more bullshit upon us. And what is that bullshit? Authenticity. Partial truth. It is an important value. But for it to be of any value to us, it requires discernment. Okay, so what is wrong with authenticity? Yeah, be authentic. Be true to yourself. Yeah, honor yourself. Really? Yes, be true. But the thing is, the self we are being asked to honor and to be true to is still in zombie mode. in the zombie forest, has no clue as to the nature of the world or what they really are, their true identity. And we want to be authentic to this zombie? Really? Here's my passport. Here's what is your identity? So, this is my identity. Passport? Really? That's your identity? Yes, sir. My name is Behram Ghista. Indian. 69 years old. That's me. Me. Really? Is that your identity? Come on, wake up. That's just the role you're playing in this life. That's just the persona, the mask. What was your face like before you were born? What was your identity then? In the next rebirth, Behram will be an American with name John Smith. Is that his true identity? John Smith? American? Or Indian? Or Chinese in the other rebirth? Which is your identity? These are just the masks. Being true to yourself requires deep practice, guided practice, to know what you truly are. You're not this mask. Nah. Just a transitory role you are playing on the planet in relation to what is termed as residual karma. Karma from the past, the residue puts you in this rebirth. And then, depending on your actions, puts you into that rebirth. Today you're a male, tomorrow you're a female. Today your skin color is a little dark, tomorrow it's very pale. Which is the authentic self? Your spirit. Your spirit. And yet, are we told to be true to the spirit? And to learn how to identify what you truly are in essence? No, just be authentic. Rubbish. Total rubbish. Ladies and gentlemen, wake up. Not you. You don't even know what you are. You don't even know how magnificent you are. And that is why you live in fear and confusion and perplexity. Wake up. Now, as though matters were not bad enough, we are told to aim towards autonomy. Another big thing, another hot stuff value to pursue. Autonomy. Yeah, autonomy. You need to guide yourself. Awaken the dragon within you. Seek for the answers within you. Yeah, autonomy. Don't need anybody else to tell you what to do. You're an adult. Think for yourself. Discover what you love to do. What you feel like doing, just go for it. That's autonomy. Really? So those fellows who colonized the two Americas, North, South, including Canada and Australia, for instance, there are many colonizations. Let's just take this example. Those guys who colonized the Americas and Australia killed the people, the natives, oppressed them, put them on reservations, robbed their land, because he felt it was the right thing to do. Yoo-hoo! Was it really right to kill off these natives and their beautiful cultures and to impose some rubbish on them? Was that the right thing to do? Autonomy? Freedom? Rule yourself? No awareness. No awareness. Autonomy without deep awareness is dangerous. Look around. These are partial truths. And because most people subscribe to shallow thinking, they swallow these truths, undigested, and they cause misery upon themselves and the world around them with no virtue or morality in sight. Moral compass out the door. It is because we cannot discern. It is because we cannot separate fact from fiction, true from false, right from wrong, wholesome from unwholesome, skillful from unskillful, because we cannot discern things well. That is why there is so much suffering in this world, because of its illusory nature. Makes us believe this will bring us happiness. But where's the happiness? Can't grab it. It's gone, fleeting, gone. Whereas when the wise men say, wise people tell us, this is where happiness really is, people are not interested. This is what they're interested in, the glitter of the world. Because we cannot discern true from false, right from wrong, and other polar opposites, we cannot discern the path we need to take. We have no real direction for our lives. That is why there's massive amounts of misery on the planet. So, like a virus, yes, virus, yeah, like a virus, faulty, puerile, premature, puerile, childish thinking evolves and mutates, yeah, rapidly. Faulty thinking evolves and mutates rapidly, gaining a strong immunity towards clarity and compassion. The only way for us to emancipate ourselves from dithering in the desert storm of our delusions is through the study and practice of the Dhamma. The 10 perfections are indispensable. Without the study and practice of the Dhamma, freedom, possibility, authenticity, autonomy are virtually useless. Not just useless, extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Yeah? To emancipate ourselves from dithering in, groping in the dark, in the desert storm of our delusions, we need deep study and practice of the Dhamma. 10 perfections included, along with everything else that's coming up. Stay tuned. So unless we subscribe to the right worldview and learn to live insightfully, unless we subscribe to the right worldview and learn to live insightfully, These premature viewpoints, freedom, authenticity, and so on, these premature viewpoints lead in just one direction. Yes, into the ditch. Deep ditch, crevasse. That's where they lead, not to happiness. What is the ditch? What is the ditch? Ill health, relationship fiascos, financial difficulties, struggles in our workplace, difficult circumstances, the ditch, not a pleasant place to hang out in. So, as we grow in our practice, we come to understand that values that are not well applied are always counterproductive. Remember the gynac I spoke about in the last class. Generosity. She was being generous with her patients and almost destroyed herself. Values that are not well applied are always counterproductive. Yeah. So, gaining traction in our practice, we also come to realize another truth, that the kind of person we have become from the unwise ways of living from countless lifetimes. The kind of person we have become from living unwisely is now our greatest obstacle to clarity. We are our greatest obstacle to clarity. And it is time we took some serious measures to correct it. If we want to be happy, we have to take some serious measures to correct it, which means personal refinement is not an optional choice. It is an imperative choice. We are our own worst enemy. The difficulties and the problems enemies from the outside can cause us nothing compared to the misery we cause ourselves by having lived unwisely for way too many lifetimes. The conditioning is terrible. We need to do something about this terrible conditioning. Bold decisions offer or give us the best promise of success. We need to be bold enough to step out of the herd mentality and learn to be humble enough to seek guidance from those who can help us to do better, to think better, to feel better. Just as even the best musicians have a mentor. That's what made them best. That mentor helped them to reveal their inborn talents, yeah, and to express them fully. The value of having a teacher is that person helps us to reveal what is finest in us, because at present we don't have access code to finding authentic self. No access codes, only mask, persona. Here's a little story. In a Zen monastery some years ago, the students found the newcomer who had entered They found him to be a thief. He was into magpie syndrome, collecting other people's things without their permission. Yeah, he loved it. He was stealing. So they reported him to the teacher, saying, listen, there's a weirdo in our midst. He's stealing from us. Please do something about it. The teacher said, I did nothing about it, except simply love the student a little more. The second time it happened, students were again upset. The third time it happened, the students wrote out a petition. Listen, sir, if you do not eject this thief from our midst, we're all leaving. We're going to go train with somebody else. We can't live with this nutcase stealing our things. Yeah, our bag of chips. So the abbot looked at them and said, look, guys, you are wise enough to know the difference between right and wrong, skillful and unskillful, wholesome and unwholesome. You guys are wise enough to know that. But this fellow here, no discernment. He has no clue what he's doing. He's living in zombie mode. He needs more practice. So, being wise enough, you're welcome to go elsewhere and continue with your practice. But this guy, if I don't teach him to make better choices, who will? The poor fellow's lost. Brilliant. Yeah, virtue. We all need redemptive assistance from the world around us in the form of kindness, compassion. Forgiving only is there for those who blame in the first place. If there's no blame, there's no need to forgive. Right? We all need redemptive assistance from the world around us. So when that crook, when that thief heard what the abbot had to say, a torrent of tears flowed out of his eyes. He felt that deep compassion from the abbot, and all desire to steal vanished from him. Vanished. When he felt that thunderbolt of compassion, he was transformed. Yeah, virtue. Here's another story. You see, all of us, well, most of us, are very quick to judge others while overlooking our own dark sides. The brilliant, absolutely brilliant story from the Bible illustrates this point. Do you know the story, you heathens? Yeah, well, not all of you. Do you know the story when a bunch of hypocrites dragged this poor woman who was caught in the act of adultery and brought to Jesus? Yeah, they didn't bring the man. Adultery takes place with two people, not just one. Man, no one in sight. Just the woman. Yeah. They brought this woman caught in the act of adultery to Jesus, not only to have the pleasure of stoning her to death, because that was the law of the land, but to bait Jesus in saying, yeah, we don't do it, it is not good. Yeah, no. Jesus, being super conscious, like the abbot, he ignored their demand. Lord, this woman has been caught, and according to the law, she should be stoned to death. What do you have to say? Jesus just bent down, just crouched, and started scribbling with his finger in the sand. not looking at them. But my lord, listen, we've got in the act. We need some, there has to be some punishment. Ignore, ignore, scribbling in the sand. On the third attempt, on the third request, Jesus looked up and said, okay, guys, you want to do the stoning? Let's do it. Let's just go for it. And the first one to throw the stone, the first person who will cast that stone has to be without sin. Then go for it. The one who throws the stone, first stone, and the second and the third has to be without sin. Those hypocrites. And then he went back to scribbling in the sand. They looked at each other. They were all filled with sin, and they knew it. They were hypocrites. So they chucked the stones, threw them away, slowly dispersed. Everyone gone. When Jesus felt that all of them had scuttled off, he stood up, looked at the woman, and said, my child, where are your accusers? My Lord, there's no one there to accuse me. They've all gone. So then Jesus looks at her and says, well, I don't accuse you either. I don't condemn you either. So please, go for it. Go in peace and sin no more. Beautiful story. Fantastic story. No judging. Because we ourselves are not really perfect. Yeah, virtue. Freedom to do whatever you want. Authenticity, to ride over other people. Possibility, autonomy. Without the right virtues in place, without the right morality in place, it's dangerous stuff. Throughout the ages, my dear friends, throughout the ages, the consensus on human conduct, has remained unchanged. Not an iota of change. Everything else changes. But throughout the ages, all different cultures worldwide, the consensus on human conduct has remained untouched, unchanged. And what is this consensus? We all celebrate, look up to, celebrate those who sacrifice for the greater good. We applaud them. We look at them in reverence and awe, who sacrifice for the greater good. And everyone despises those who become rich and famous at the expense of others. Worldwide, it's not changed. Nobody applauds people who are in that category. We also applaud and approve of those who are kind, insightful, loving, as well as those who keep their word. If they say one thing, they don't do another. Yeah? We applaud such people. We approve of such people. Whereas we recoil, feel this aversion from those who lie and cheat. We don't like them. No lying. Not like it. Even liars don't like it if other people lie to them. And we also recoil from those who are violent, aggressive, arrogant, selfish, no like. Throughout the ages, these values have remained constant. We know with every fiber of our being, we know what virtue is, and we know what it is not. We have been given conscience, and yet, although we know it very clearly, countless people in this world throw away their ethical compass. No direction. And they engage in unethical practices, believing it is profitable to do so. Yeah, let's scam and let's kill and let's deceive and let's. Hallelujah. Why do they do that? Why do they do that? It is because they're just not interested in knowing the nature of this world and the laws that apply. Those invisible laws that cannot be transgressed. They don't want to know the nature of the world and their place in it. Don't want. Every year, I invite so many people to my classes, for instance. So many. And the response I get is astonishing. They're not interested. They're not interested. Why? Why don't people want to know themselves better, know the nature of the world better? Because of delusions. Heavily dithering in the desert storm of their delusions, which make them believe they're already wise. They don't need these teachings. They don't need personal refinement. They don't need anyone to tell them what to do and how to live. They're wise. Yeah, that's why they slosh. That's why they smoke. That's why they're ill health. Oh, Lord. It's crazy, this world. Absolutely fascinatingly crazy. The values are substandard, and people want to be happy on these substandard values. Shakespeare, brilliant fellow, in one of his plays, there's this beautiful, beautiful line. In one of his plays, King Richard II, while in prison, is telling a friend of his before he's executed, good king, great king, talking about himself. Good king, great king, but not greatly good. Beautiful line. Good king, great king, but not greatly good. Ah, consequence. So, how can we measure if we are greatly good? How do we tell? It can be seen in the quality of our health. It can be seen in our eyes. Sparkle. It can be seen in the glow of our complexion. Yeah? It can be seen in the number of lives we enrich in the course of our short time on the planet. It can be seen, it can be measured on our state of mind. How often we dwell in these elevated states of mind, rapture, joy, bliss. It can be measured by how clear we are as to our purpose in being alive, our place in this world. Many ways to measure, greatly good. How many people really cherish your company? And how many people look the other way when they see you coming? How many deep friendships do you have? Greatly good. Brother Cecil, greatly good. Christian mechanic, known for his integrity. What a way to be remembered. Supersonic merit. Supersonic. To live without integrity, to live without integrity is to inflict a terrible punishment upon ourselves. Terrible. My dad was an architect. He worked for the government, Indian government, and then he was transferred to Lagos, Nigeria, and he worked for the Nigerian government. He was a small man, even shorter than me, 5 feet 2. And yet he was known, like Cecil, small man with big reputation. He was known as the small man with a big reputation because of his integrity. Being an architect, contractors or builders would come to him with briefcases packed with cash, put it on his desk to have him sign a contract. Yeah, you will build this and you will do that. Bribery and corruption. And my father would each and every time literally throw them out of the office. I was once in the waiting room waiting to see my dad, and I saw how this fellow ran out with his briefcase with my dad yelling at him, "Don't you ever come back again." Because the only way he would sign a contract, gives anyone the right to do something, was if they had the integrity to do things correctly. And no bribery and corruption. He wasn't interested in it. He slept well at night. He woke up happily. He died in a beautiful fashion. His contemporaries, however, other guys in the office, the Filipinos, the Sri Lankans, the Indians, the English, all these other foreigners who were also architects. Yes. They could not withstand the highest bidder. And one of them, and many of them actually, they used to build these high walls for their residents, gates and walls. Scared when they will be found out, scared who's going to invade them. And pretty much all of them died, even though they were younger than my father. They died a premature death from having sold their souls to the devil. Yeah, the stress of being found out. To live without integrity is to inflict a terrible punishment upon ourselves. Terrible. And people don't understand that. So when we see people pulling ahead of us, because of underhanded practices, no integrity, taking bribes, bending the rules, moving ahead, prosperity, nice cars, nice homes, nice everything, but not nice character. Instead of getting upset, instead of feeling resentful, we need to remember where that road ultimately ends. It ends in suffering by default. Suffering. Because universal laws cannot be transgressed without us experiencing or incurring severe penalties. Penalties that don't just affect us in one rebirth. Remember what I said in the last class. The return is always greater than the investment. The ripple effect of the wrongdoing we have engaged in that has caused so many people to suffer, the ripple effect follows us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime till that wave subsides. It's not just the suffering of one rebirth we are going to think about. The ripple effect is tremendous. Same with living with integrity. The ripple effect of withstanding the highest bidder is also lifetime after lifetime of joy and laughter. People don't understand. No karma rebirth understanding. Just short-sighted. So, even though it may not be easy for us to live with integrity in the midst of everyone who's doing their best to scam and harm and do silly things, it's the best form of living there is. Best form. Even though it might not be easy, it is the best form of living there is till it becomes easy. Right. No matter our level of intelligence or education, Harvard, Cambridge, and whatever, no matter our level of intelligence or education, most of us are resoundingly underinformed about the nature of this world and our place in it. No clue. So, to correct the discrepancy between what we believe we know and what is actually so, to correct this discrepancy, we need to allow palpable, tangible proof or evidence to guide us, and to be fully prepared to jettison, let go of, throw away beliefs and habit patterns that are not serving us. Those faulty beliefs and habit patterns that are simply not serving us and will never serve us, we have to be willing to let go of them, no matter how comforting or how deeply entrenched they may be. we need to take some serious measures to correct this. So what is this palpable evidence we need to pay attention to? Our state of health. Are we experiencing vibrant health? Our relationships. Do we cherish and are cherished by other people? Check. Palpable evidence. Do we enjoy the work we do? Are we clear about our purpose in being alive? What kind of mind states do we experience in a given day? Most people just don't feel good enough of the time because they're not doing what needs to be done, not keeping the main thing the main thing. Palpable evidence. Stop living in blinkered mode. Wake up. Remove blinkers. So as spiritual aspirants, we need to be farsighted enough to engage in an infinitely better method of inquiry that allows us, to access greater vistas of understanding and implementation. As spiritual aspirants, our primary task is to be farsighted enough to engage in infinitely better methods of inquiry that lead to greater vistas of understanding and implementation, which just reading books and watching videos never can. No can do. Yeah. So what is this infinitely better method we need to cultivate? For us to employ intuitive thinking and intuitive behavior to guide our choices. What is this better method, infinitely better method, that allows us to live a deeply enriching, fulfilling, prosperous life? Intuitive thinking and behavior, please understand, can only be engineered or crafted through disciplined effort that is well guided by someone who sees life better than we do. Yeah. Intuitive thinking and behavior can only be engineered or crafted through disciplined practice. Disciplined practice that is guided, well guided by someone who sees the world and who sees us better than we do. There is an undeniable correlationship, undeniable correlationship between what and how we do something and the results that show up in our lives. Yeah, undeniable correlation between what and how we do something and the results that show up in our lives. If every day we engage in a disciplined practice that brings out our best on every occasion, it's inevitable that our future will be brilliant. But if every day we engage in the practice in some random, haphazard, misguided manner, we remain in the ditch. Or is it the zombie forest? Who knows? The ultimate goal, please understand, our ultimate goal is not practice. Our ultimate goal is progress, not practice. Progress. We must never mistake mere activity for accomplishment, like most people do. Big mistake. Any examples here? I have met in the course of my teaching career hundreds of retreat junkies, hundreds upon hundreds. One retreat to another retreat, this teacher to another teacher, just getting information, lots of activity, but no accomplishment, no refinement of oneself. And then there are the other guys. Look at those fellows. They're into rites and rituals. Wrap malas around themselves, all kinds of lighting this, lighting that, running around here, running around there, caught up in the rites and rituals and neglecting the essence of the practice. No guidance. They say they have teachers, but there's no guidance from the teachers because the teachers don't even know them. They're part of a herd. Our ultimate goal is not practice, it is progress. And we must not mistake running around like a chicken without the head as accomplishment. Huge mistake. To progress towards crafting a beautiful life that is of great value to all, our practice has to be well guided, well informed, because it is only right practice, not just any practice, only right practice that leads to the best form of living there is. Understand that? Tattoo this in there. It is only right practice, well-informed practice, well-guided practice that leads to the best form of living there is. Nothing else can do it for us. Nothing else. People are running around, retreat junkies, reading books, videos, here, there, all that activity. Zero refinement. It's crazy. It's sad. All those years wasted. Wasted. Bold decisions. We need to be bold enough to step out of the herd mentality. We need to be bold enough to really look at ourselves. Good king, great king, and yet not greatly good. Oh, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more. Hallelujah.